Van, I want to play something that David Perdue said today about an event about Stacey Abrams, who's obviously the presumptive Democratic candidate for governor in Georgia. Let's listen.
Did y'all see what Stacey said this weekend? Said that Georgia's the worst place in the country to live. Hey, she ain't from here. Let her go back where she came from. She doesn't like it here. The only thing she wants is to be president of the United States. She doesn't care about the people of Georgia. That's clear. When she told black farmers, you don't need to be on the farm, and she told black workers in hospitality and all this, you don't need to be, she is demeaning her own race when it comes to that. I am really over this. She should never be considered for material for a governor of any state, much less our state where she hates to live.
Van, what's your reaction to that?
Well, it's disgusting, and he's demeaning the human race by behaving that way and talking that way. First of all, he's lying. She never told black farmers anything. She said that there should be other jobs besides hospitality and agriculture in Georgia, and she's correct for saying that. But for him to make it racial, she didn't make it racial. He made it racial. And then for him to say she should go back where she came from, she's spent most of her life in Georgia. This is the kind of stuff. He's failing, he's losing, and he's losing for a reason. He jumped in based on a lie, and he's still lying.
In terms of the Kemp-Perdue race, I mean, do you know how the former president is feeling or viewing this privately? Is he going to change his endorsement strategy going forward?
There is some talk about the idea that he's going to lay off and jumping into a lot of these races. I don't think you're going to see something like this, but this was a pretty unique situation because of how Trump feels about Kemp. He's not happy. I mean, he's alternately blaming Perdue and then telling people this race is still winnable. Unless you are unable to read polls, it's clearly not winnable for Perdue. It's not likely to force a runoff, and it is a reflection on Trump, no matter what he says. I was struck by that number that you read in that statement from Trump's spokesman about 82-3 is his endorsement record. That's not his endorsement record. I don't even know what that number is supposed to be, but there's a number of other races where he has endorsed and his candidate has lost starting last year, and they keep trying to rewrite the numbers.
I mean, Trump has this huge wad of money that he has raised through donations. Has he been spending that for these candidates that he's endorsing?
Almost none, except for Perdue. He did transfer, my colleague Shane Goldmacher reported this week, or a few days ago, I think it was $2 million overall to Perdue. That was a rarity. In general, the complaint has been that Trump is hoarding this money and not really doing a whole lot to help other Republicans.
So, David Urban, is it wise? I mean, if you're a Trump supporter, is it wise for the former president to be getting involved in these races, to be endorsing, or do you think he should be more selective?
No. Listen, if the president would listen to me or anybody, right, he would husband those endorsements, right, and not really hand them out as freely as he does. They don't really listen. The endorsements really matter in these kind of close races, like you saw in Ohio and in some congressional races. They really can swing a district pretty easily. Some races, the president just sit out, like in Pennsylvania. I think the president injured his brand in Pennsylvania by coming in and making an endorsement. He made lots of people unhappy in the Senate race, lots of people unhappy in the governor's race. And for what? You're going to get maybe one person, maybe when Dr. Oz or Dave, if he does get elected, you've alienated 70% of the Republican base in the state of Pennsylvania. So at what cost? I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze in some of these.
David, I mean, if Perdue loses, do you think the former president would say the race was rigged?
No, I don't think he'll say the race was rigged. I think he'll say David Perdue ran a bad race. I think you're talking about resources, Anderson. I think the president has, $180 million, I think, in his super PAC, somewhere in that number. Maggie probably knows better, but $2 million gets you maybe a week of TV in Georgia. It's a very expensive media market. So if he really was all in for David Perdue, he would have burnt some of that cash to take out Kemp if he was really serious about it. So, it's put your money where your mouth is, I think, in that instance.